Welcome back to the Hockey Hotbed, presented as always by the Hockey Podcast Network, as well as DraftKings. Make sure you use promo code THPN at the DraftKings Sportsbook app for great odds and opportunities. Once again, promo code THPN at the DraftKings Sportsbook app. I've been talking this entire episode about unsuspecting and surprising performances across the NHL. I talked about the Rangers. I talked about the Predators. I talked about the Ducks. Those teams and the players that I discussed of that were all very surprising to me so far. The fact that Connor McDavid is doing what Connor McDavid is doing right now is not surprising per se, but it's exciting. It's something that, I expected him to have a good season, and most people did. Coming off a 105-point season in 55 games, you're going to have eyes turning in that direction. And what his teammate Leon Draisaitl is doing right alongside with him is almost as equally impressive as that. But unfortunately, with those two players playing at that level, we're probably not going to get anybody else in the Art Ross Trophy race. It's going to be a matter of which of these two players is going to outscore the other. So we don't really have the most interesting of scoring races that we're probably going to see this year. I know it's only a month in, but the pace at which these two are setting is historic and just ungodly, especially in the salary cap era. And we'll get into some cap era stuff in this segment. But what we can do in the absence of a really, really interesting and really fun and really back and forth Art Ross Trophy race between two players in two different cities, what we can do in the absence of that is watch Connor McDavid do some absolutely stellar things and make some records. Because as of right now, he's starting to etch his name in the record books a couple of times already this season. On Sunday, Connor McDavid was able to reach 600 career points and only his 421st career regular season game. If that sounds fast, it's because it is. That is the sixth fastest in NHL history, behind Wayne Gretzky, Mario Lemieux, Peter Stastny, Mike Bossy, and Jari Kurri. Yeah, that's a little ridiculous. Just a smidge ridiculous. 421 games to 600 points. When I saw that he reached that milestone, I did a double take because I don't normally look at Connor McDavid's career total in points, but the fact that he's already at 600, it's surprising. Obviously, it's historic. 421 games to get 600 points. Something that, imagine if he was healthy. We say that about a lot of people. Imagine if Lemieux was healthy. Imagine if Crosby was healthy. Luckily, we've gotten, Wayne Gretzky was usually healthy. Alex Ovechkin has remained healthy for his entire career. Knock on wood. Hopefully that continues. But Connor McDavid missed some time. He also had a very debilitating knee injury that he was able to rehab without surgery and come back within an offseason. And he still stayed on this course of being an absolutely ridiculous NHL hockey player. He's the best player in the league, bar none. So yeah, that is one thing. Put him in the record book, sixth fastest to 600 career points. Congratulations to Connor McDavid. But also, on the year, if you look at his current stat line, 10 goals, and 27 points for the Pacific leading Edmonton Oilers in 14 games played. The biggest knock on McDavid has always been, where's the team success? You can be judged as an individual, but this is a team game. That comes into it. His team has only won one postseason series since he got there. They haven't won, and I don't believe, and I'm pretty sure that it's correct, they have not won a division title. Right now, his team is playing great. They're in first place in the Pacific Division. They're winning a bunch of hockey games, doing it mainly on the backs of, Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl. But there's getting team success as well. So that's something else to watch. That might add to his legacy if he's able to start, getting off the schneid whenever it comes to April, May, maybe even June. But right now, Connor McDavid is on pace. And we already talked about, what on pace means. There might be a regression to the mean. We talked about that with Chris Kreider. but he's on pace for 158 points. Not only would that become the highest point total by a player in the salary cap era, it would be by 30 points. He would break the record for salary cap era scoring by the measure of a third line player's entire season. 30 points. Right now, the cap era leaders in best seasons by points. 2 of them are in 2005, 2006. Number 3 was Jaromir Jagr, had 123 points in 2005, 2006. Number 2 was Jumbo Joe Thornton, had 125 points in 2005, 2006. And right now, the best season in the salary cap era individually is Nikita Kucherov of the Tampa Bay Lightning in 2018-19, where he had 128 points. McDavid right now is on pace for 158. So while we don't have this great Art Ross trophy race between Connor McDavid and, let's say, Nathan MacKinnon or Artemi Panarin, where we get 2 fan bases that get to go out there and root for their guy and scoreboard watch, we have 2 guys on the same team that we're just going to say, oh, which of them is going to score more tonight? It takes a little bit of the luster out, but we still have this, which is going to be a very real race this season. Will Connor McDavid become the leading scorer of the salary cap era, the best single season in the salary cap era? And with that, will Leon Draisaitl do it as well? Will this team put up 2 players with the best seasons of the salary cap era? If they do that, you have to imagine, 1, that they're a playoff team. That's pretty much a lock. But 2, do they get a division title for the first time in McDavid's career? Let's shift it over to Draisaitl a little bit, because where McDavid has been ungodly, Draisaitl has been, otherworldly. I don't know what, I guess ungodly is probably a little bit higher, but both of these guys are 1A, 1B when it comes to peak performances this season. Leon Draisaitl has 15 goals and 31 points already this year. 31 points already this year. Can we just please realize that this team has only played in 14 games? Leon Draisaitl has over 2.2 points per game right now. If he has a couple of really, really good games in the next week, he could be around 3 points per game again, about 20% of the way into the season. Absolute just lunacy from Leon Draisaitl. So where I said Connor McDavid on pace for 158, Leon Draisaitl's on pace for 182 points this year. 182 points. There are not many players right now that I can pick out that are gonna have 100-point seasons. He's gonna have 182 if he stays on this pace. Again, regression to the mean. We always have to remember it is a long season and very hard to sustain this early season success. But if he performs that feat, he would be 8th all time. Not in the salary cap era, all time in scoring seasons by an individual. That would be behind Mario Lemieux once and Wayne Gretzky 7 times. All of those seasons that I'm talking about that would be above Leon Draisaitl all happened in the 1980s, where, if you remember, there was a lot of scoring to begin with. So it would be the best single season points year for any player since the 1980s. Through the dead puck era, through the entirety of the salary cap era up to this point, it would blow Nikita Kucherov's season out of the water, which, I mean, you hate to see, because that season was magical, but it's not what we're seeing right now from Draisaitl and McDavid. So if you haven't tuned into any Edmonton Oilers games, I suggest you do. I did a watch-along on the Hockey Podcast Network YouTube channel, which, if you haven't watched it, I don't know if you'd go back and watch it again. I'd appreciate it, but I don't know if there's much point to doing that. It was the Florida Panthers and the Pittsburgh Penguins last week. But I'm going to continue to do those watch-alongs. And if you want to watch me watch along to a game, I'm probably going to pick out a couple Oilers games just to have the fun of watching along with fans in that forum and watching what those two do during a game. So keep an eye out for that. But before I go, I also want to mention the fact that there's one other thing that we need to keep an eye on when looking at a guy like Connor McDavid right now. It's the fact that currently he's riding a 14-game point streak. They've only played in 14 games. So he scored in every single game thus far into the season. That's tied for the 17th longest point streak to start a season in NHL history. Not miraculous by any means. I mean, 17th longest, that's nothing to scoff at, but, that's not front page news. But it's something that if we watch, it'll be fun. Like I'm saying, in the absence of an Art Ross trophy race, which we're really not going to get this year, we need to start picking these things out when these two players are playing at this level. And Connor McDavid right now, that's something that you need to pin there to keep an eye on. Because the top point streak to start a season is 51 games by Wayne Gretzky. Now, listen, Connor McDavid is far off from that. It's not close. It's not Ovechkin to Gretzky's record close. But it's something that if you look at the way he's playing, if you look at the points that he's scoring, if you look at the players that he's playing with, look at their power play percentage. It's over 40%. It's absolutely asinine right now. It's something that, I can see it in the realm of possibility. It's in the realm. It is. He's 37 games off right now. Which, 37-game point streak is already one of the top ones in the NHL. But if he can get to that number, a number that is probably not going to be reached by any other human being until the next generation, at least. Maybe never. Connor McDavid right now on a 14-game point streak. He'll be able to move up that list pretty quickly. I believe once he gets to 20 games, he's into the top 10 already, at least, and maybe even the top 8. So keep an eye on it. Anytime you see, if you're not watching Edmonton Oilers games, one, if you like hockey, I suggest you watch because it's some of the best hockey right now. It's fun hockey too because their defense is not great, so they give up a lot of goals, but they also score at will, really. But if you're not willing to put in the time for that, but you still think this is interesting and you want to follow along, check the box score. I'm sure Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl, for that matter, are going to be in the box score. And as time goes along here, if McDavid can continue to play within the lines there, a point a game to start the season, we're going to have some really fun conversations coming up about the Edmonton Oilers. But that's going to do it. Thank you for tuning into the Hockey Hotbed. I appreciate you lending me your ear or lending me your eyes if you're watching on YouTube. But that's going to do it. We'll see you guys on Friday. Have a good week, hockey fans.